wasn't even get that far before.
Yeah, I saw it was just on screen.
We're live. We're ready, Doug.
Good morning, everyone. This is the April 9, 2026 Allegheny County Industrial Development Agency Board meeting. My name is Doug Frank. I'm the sitting treasurer of the board and also the temporary chairman of the board. What I'd like to do first is have everyone that's present here and on screen introduce themselves, and I'll start with Tom on my left.
Tom McElhaney.
William Inier. Joe Hart.
Barbara Benjamin. Melissa Pinjator.
Craig Clark.
John Ricky.
Terry Ross.
Steve Marks.
Ed Russell, council.
Ashley Smith.
Rick Harris.
All right, on screen, Ryan.
Rick Henry.
No,
Rick Henry.
Ryan
Brian Mackley.
and Paul.
Paul Bukowski.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we're going to call the meeting to order, and the first thing on the agenda is a report from the nomination committee regarding recommendations for new officers, and then the next thing will be to elect officers, and then we have the election of committee membership. So with that, Craig, do you want to take over and give a report on the nominating committee?
I could. Yeah, the nominating committee met last week and they forwarded the names of Steve Morrow for chair, Joe Hart for vice chair, Doug Frank for treasurer, and Terry Ross for secretary. And so far, they've all said they would serve. So I would guess that's.
Quick vote.
That's the first order of business. If we could go ahead and get those installed as officers. I would, as a full slate. So is there a motion to move that?
I'll make that motion.
Who made the second? Bill? All right. So a motion has been made, seconded to approve the nominations committee recommendations for officers. Are there any questions or any more discussion on that? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. We're getting there. And then we also basically forward these names for the committees we have to have. We have to have an audit committee. We agreed that the full board would still be the audit committee. It basically looks at the audit and the time frame. We really have to do that. It doesn't make sense to have another committee to do that. Finance will be Doug Frank is submitted, Terry Ross and Joe Hart. The governance committee was recommended as Steve Morrow, Bill Manier, and Tom McElhaney. And the building review committee, which we'll talk about a little bit, new building we're talking about, is Bill Manier, John Ricky, and Tom McElhaney. So if those are acceptable, we'd like to have a motion to move those forward too.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with that, shall we?
Joe made a motion.
I'll second that.
Second, Tom made a second. Any further discussion or questions regarding that? No. All hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, for the
So
team.
carried. All right. With that, I can turn it over to Steve, right?
Move it out of there.
So I got a present for Steve. I'm going to take this back though. and you can't hit it too hard because I noticed when I got here they taped it up here. But this comes from Citizens National Bank. When I came back to Western New York, I worked at Citizens National Bank, and Ellis Hopkins was chairman of the board at that time, and then after that, George Harris Jr. took over chairman. So this is the gavel that they used to conduct the board meetings at Citizens National. And Citizens National was bought out by Key Bank in 1981, and then I went on to Community Bank after that. But I'm going to let you use this today. You don't really have to use it. It's all yours.
All right.
Over.
I like it. It works.
Switch seats.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll do my best, but big shoes to fill for sure.
Thanks, Doug, for the
All right.
transition. Appreciate it.
Good job. If you want to keep the name tag, you can still take it.
Thank you, guys. Here we go, right? So I'm going to walk through this. First, thank you. We'll try my best to carry on the good tradition and the great things that are happening here, of which there are so many. Really in a great spot, and we'll seek Craig and everybody, Melissa's and everybody's support and moving forward with all the great things that are in motion. And of course, we'll all do our best, right, to continue to support them in the good work. So with that said, it looks like the next order of business is the approval of minutes. And I assume that everybody has gotten the minutes, had a chance to review the minutes. And if so, I would see if we have a motion to approve the minutes. Okay, we have a second.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion that needs to be had with respect to the minutes? Okay, not. All those in favor of approval of minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I don't know if we're supposed to vote on approval of minutes or not, but we just did.
Yes.
All right, I'm off to a great start.
They're 1 for 1.
All right. Well, how about I turn it over then for whoever is going to give the treasurer's report.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
In the treasurer's report package, we did last meeting, we decided rather than having 3 motions to approve the various levels of the treasurer's report, we decided to have just 1 motion, so we could do that again today. And Craig can jump in on here and Barb as well as we go through this, but the first thing you have in your report is an investment report showing the checking accounts and the CDs, et cetera, that the IDA has presently. And then they have following that the balance sheet. And that, I had talked about the fact that we're going through this process to clean up the balance sheet with the auditors regarding the sale of the real estate, et cetera. That has been cleaned up somewhat, right, Barb?
Right.
We cleaned that up so it doesn't show that we own the building anymore on the balance sheet. So a comment I guess that I have on that. And then the profit and loss statement follows that. And then the last report in the package is a series of reports on the transaction bid by vendor. Then I'll be signing checks today along with Craig to pay the vendors after we get approval of the treasurer's report today. That's really that.
I'll just mention again, we have a policy where there's 2 signatures on all checks, the treasurer and myself, so.
What is there a difference in totals between the first 2 pages?
First 2 pages.
Do you mean these 2 ones, 1 month,
Yeah.
one's the next one? Do you see
One's
the top,
March,
look at the dates, yeah. We did February and March, right, Garth?
Yeah, we wanted to have both 2 months instead of just one.
You can sort of change over time. And that's a good thing, we have more money.
There's 2 deposits, 2 checks, because we have multiple banks.
Couple of things.
So for like the IDA, you've got community and First Citizens, so in order to separate the checks and deposits instead of just all on transactions, you have to do it that way.
So Craig, you're gonna talk in that, discuss the new options for bank funds, are you gonna do?
Yeah,
that?
once we approve these, yeah.
Okay.
We're approving the top 4, right?
So everybody have a chance to look through all of the financial statements? In that case, I suppose I would be looking for a motion to approve the budget and finance statements as presented.
I'll move.
Okay, second? Seconds?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion, questions? Okay, not all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Abstained? Okay, budget passes.
Yeah, we also been talking to the bank about collateralizing all of our funds so to be completely insured. And they've done that, they've been able to make it.
That's done. Mhm.
Because we're a
Public agency.
public agency, they can do that right away. So we didn't have to worry about having the 250,000 max in one account. So they collateralized everything, no cost. The other thing that was discussed at 2 board meetings ago was whether or not we wanted to actually have, what was it called?
It's so it's business online, is
Right.
the name of the program, and then, it's check assurance, I can't remember the actual, but it's, I remember positive pay.
Positive
Pay.
And basically what that does is make sure that when we write checks, we tell them what the checks are, then they verify so that they don't get washed. So they follow through it as the checks, and we're not writing a lot of checks. But the issue is they said they've been finding about at least one a month where somebody's had some fraud case come in. And so there is a cost to that, obviously.
Yeah.
And you have to have the premier banking as well as then this pay.
Right, positive pay, so for our entire suite of accounts, because they're all connected to the IDA, it would be $25 a month to move all of our accounts to business online. We have to be on business online to take advantage of positive pay as a business service. So once we move that, it would be $25 more a month in fees. And then for each organization, so in this case, it would just be the LDC and the IDA, it would be $30 a month for positive pay. So they would check every single incoming withdrawal from our account, requesting money out of our account against what Bart gives them every week and reject anything that did not match. So that's exactly what they're offering. There are a couple other things on offer that we don't really need. That's the biggest one for us. It's just making sure that the checks be right, the checks be right, and the exits from our account are what we're expecting.
So the recommendation is obviously to do that because it makes sense. We have so much funds, we should do those. So, and since a lot of the banks are doing it through most of
So
their
the
larger
total,
employees.
the total cost per month is $85 in addition to what we're paying now for the 2 accounts plus the business online. So it's an $85 a month commitment.
You really should ask them about compensating balances and if you can get that reduced.
What is, I don't know what the name is.
Backdoor fee, because they got fees associated with your accounts anyway. You should ask them if anything counts towards compensating balances to reduce that fee.
We don't have anything because we have a private checking account right now. It's not even a business account, so we don't pay a monthly fee right now at all.
Well, I'm sure you pay backdoor.
I guess, I don't know what that means, Terry. I'm
You
sorry.
probably need to have an analysis done of your
Okay.
accounts
Okay, we'll
to
do
see,
that.
because $85, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's
But it adds up to real money.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's $1,000
and you got a lot of money in there.
Well, that's why we didn't want to not do something.
Yeah.
Right,
Positive pay, they'll send you an email, so you have to respond back and
Right.
say whether it's good or bad.
right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there is some extra work on our things too.
So that's
Not
good.
much though, it's
So
a
No.
safety.
ask about compensating fees. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Ask if compensating balances count.
Compensating balances.
Never hurts to ask. right?
No,
actually,
If you know to ask, so that's
Especially
very
you're a
helpful.
good, you're a
That's
good
right.
customer.
All right, Terry.
Well, it's different now. We have enough money
Yeah.
that we are.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll ask.
Just open.
We'll bring on salt.
Well,
It
just,
doesn't hurt to.
Any other questions about that? Do we need to vote on that, or is this
Yeah,
more
we should go down
informational
if we're
discussion?
done. Put it in place.
with the hope that we get a reduced fee from the $85.
All right, I will then entertain a motion for the approval of $85 a month to switch over to this business option. Okay. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion, input, questions?
Is this something we want to postpone until we get more information?
Well, we would get, if we get a smaller amount, we'll just have to pay a smaller fee, but I don't think, it wouldn't be any more.
I will promise to work my hardest to twist their arms and get a lower fee, but if we approve the 85, then lower is okay. If it's gonna be anything different, higher, but up to you.
No.
I think you can get out of it anytime.
You can't, it's month to month. I
It's
did
month
ask
to
that,
month,
thanks
yeah.
for asking. Yeah, it's month to month.
So we're just committing for 1 month.
If it doesn't, work, then all the checks are perfect.
How many checks do we write?
Well, that's hard to say because we went from paying all the utilities and expenses of buildings to now just doing
Everything online?
IDA stuff. No, because the county bought the building, so we don't have all those expenses.
Well, really, this is,
I didn't see a ton of activity. And I
No.
mean,
But the bigger problem can be that there can be no activity,
And
and
someone
people
can
can
still
just
write
try to
checks.
steal
Yeah,
right from
It's
our
not the check
account.
that we write, it's the.
Right, it's the one that comes
Yeah.
through that's not real, that we
Right.
prevent paying, yes,
But there's gotta be
and the
some other
exposure
way
is
to lock your account down too, that doesn't cost you anything.
So then,
There's gotta be another way to lock your account down that doesn't cost anything.
no, there isn't. Not to prevent withdrawals that you don't confirm. This is the
We can
only
put blocks
program.
on.
You can put blocks on.
Yeah,
You
there's
can always
some
do
blocks
that.
you can do, yeah,
I mean,
that we can.
I'm just trying to discuss.
No,
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 it's not, it's perfect.
Well, we didn't want to spend the money either, but it sounds like it's the right thing to do.
Do you want to table it until the next meeting, and I'll ask for
It's
those
up to the
questions to be answered?
It's not a bad idea to see if we can get it reduced.
One more month.
Get an audit of the account and see what the actual
How many
cost
do you
is.
actually do, because $1,000, I mean, this only looks like you wrote 12 checks on this. time.
Yeah, the activity's gone.
Yeah, but the problem is
Yeah.
a fraudulent one could come in as.
And I
nothing
know
to do
that,
with
but
us,
I mean,
Would-
I
would
do
you
get
wanna-
what he's saying. for
We
Yeah.
wanna do it, if it's $85 or less, would we wanna do that way, or why would we delay it?
It sounds like a month by month, but sounds like we want to explore options to see if we can get the fee reduced, maybe explore alternative options, but maybe we keep this as is. So we have a motion on the floor and give them the discretion, to follow up as needed, based on the good questions and input.
Do we have to amend the motion then? or-
I don't think so, and if we just kind of leave it up to them to either utilize the $85 per month or not. I mean, they can choose not to, right, or do something different.
Or
but it sounds
report
like
by the
that's
next
our
meeting.
feeling.
We'll report the next meeting if we get it.
And the board can, we can choose then not to renew it again, because it is month to month, it's not a commitment of any sort, so, that helps.
Good discussion. Other questions, input, discussion? Okay. Well, let's keep the motion on the floor then and vote. All those in favor of approving the $85 a month, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stay? Okay. Good luck. Yeah, keep us updated if
Yeah.
you could, please, let us know.
Yeah, if we come up with
if
a
you found
lower
different
amount.
bargain or
Yeah.
alternative path, and if not, let us know how it's working, if you could, as you start the month by month payment, just so we know whether it's a good investment, for us or not. Okay, and it looks like then our next agenda item is the opening of a new CD.
Right, we have enough money in the one IDA account, I think it was 1.2 million, is that about right?
It's 1.1 right now.
1.1, okay. Because we got another payment, we'll be getting more payments, but we were recommending that you take a $750,000 CD, and it's either go 6 months for 3.10 or 12 months for 2.50, sorry.
And to that same earlier discussion, we were having to invest in CDARS, which would split out anything over 250,000 in a CD because we weren't collateralized, but now that we are collateralized, our CDs are covered as well. So we can have any amount of CD without splitting it out into a CDARS, and it's still insured.
We just don't like to have that much money in our checking account, earning no money.
Making nothing.
Do you get rates from other banks? Do you?
We have not, but we will. Now, we were working for the CDR process, but we can get more rates.
Again, it's not be a check.
I know,
Did you say 12 months was 2 something?
12 months was 2.5 and 6 months was 3.10. We've got some at 6 and some at 12, but we respect that we'd like to do one of them because we don't want to have that kind of money sitting in the bank earning nothing.
What are your anticipated expenses? Do you plan on using this money?
No, we've got plenty of other funds.
Yeah, but, I don't know, the only difference between doing the 6 and getting more interest is then we have to redo it again in 6 months, but Barb's the only one that really knows how much administration does that take.
To roll them over, it's not much.
We have to do a board vote and we have to roll them over, but we make more money.
And Craig's got a little money.
So it's an hour or two of administrative time to
Right.
get that higher interest rate and have to do it again in 6 months, just for the board's consideration.
Obviously, it makes more sense to use the highest interest rate.
I think so
That's
too.
gonna change.
It's gonna change.
On that same note, last time I mentioned the cash flow, that I think you should look at that, because then that would allow you to know how much liquidity you.
That's what we
need
want
for-
the finance committee to look
Right.
at in the longer term. Right now, we don't have any real need.
That's what I was getting at.
We don't have any real cash flow needs. In fact, because we have the large solar project coming up, we'll have an additional amount of money.
So we'll have to
Substantial
put another
coming.
CD coming up here shortly.
It sounds like there is a level of interest in pursuing the higher interest
That's
rate
fine.
option.
Yes.
And that's the 6 month?
Yep.
It seems to have worked out fine because I think we rolled them over and it's actually worked out better.
Okay. Can I get a motion then to move forward with putting $750,000 into a 6 month bond?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion. Second, okay. Any discussions, questions, input? Okay. All those in favor then, say aye. Any opposed? Stay. Okay, make us some money.
It's nice to have money to make money.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's a good
You guys are spoiled.
thing. All right, looks like we have some action items. Are you walking us through that, Craig?
Yeah, basically, because the board was not involved with some of the presentations before, almost an all-new board. First one, we wanted to have EcoStrat talk about our BDZ. So too many letters and numbers. But Ryan and Paul will walk through where we are on that and what's the advantage of doing one of these BDO zones. If you could do that, the board's all ears. I don't know which one's gonna go off, Ryan.
Yeah, I can kind of get started. So, yeah, just for.
So it's basically, it's all brand new board, so we only
Yeah,
have
kind of
two
start from
people.
scratch.
We only have two
Yes,
people
please.
that were here last time you presented, so.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, happy to just provide a little bit more context on this. So I worked with Craig. This would have been, we made an application to the USDA through their Rural Business Development Grant and submitted an application. This was back in February of last year and received funding in order to move forward with BDO zone rating for Allegheny County in New York. So right now our project team is currently working on the rating and it's actually in the shop, but we're expecting that the rating will be finalized, I believe, in about June, and we're currently working on assessing the 3 different sites that we're looking at to determine what would make sense to center the project around and score for the infrastructure assessment. But what I can just do here is provide a little bit more context and background on the BDO zone initiative and what a BDO zone rating is and what this is hopefully going to be able to do just to help support you in the county in terms of attracting new bio-based projects. So hopefully I'm able to share my screen here.
It's working.
It's up.
Yep.
We're good.
Perfect. So let me just try to full screen this. Great. So I'll maybe just spend 6 or 7 minutes of your time here to kind of just give a bit of an overview here. But essentially, a BDO zone rating is an economic development tool that's meant to help you support you in terms of attracting new bio-based projects to your region and helping you market your biomass feedstock, supply chain, and infrastructure assets to different developers looking at setting up new bio-based projects. So right now, there's currently over $10 billion of private capital that's being raised for projects located in BDO zones, along with an additional $30 billion of private investment across our active 61 BDO zone ratings all across North America. So there's been 61 BDO zone ratings that have been issued across the US and Canada. This will be actually the first rating that will be issued and published in the state of New York. But ultimately, what a BDO zone rating is just a standards-based assessment of a specific region's suitability to host a biofuel, a renewable chemical, a biogas, or a bioproducts facility. So what are these ratings doing? Well, they're acting as site location bullseyes to show developers where they should be setting their next bio-based project, because these areas have been pre-vetted and because of this are really ultimately the most likely to succeed. Just talking a little bit more about the due diligence and the process that is involved with putting together these BDO zone ratings and these technical assessments. They're 70 to 90 page reports, really. They're based upon a nationally accredited standardized framework that I'll touch on in a couple of slides here, where we look at over 100 different validated and transparent risk indicators when assessing a region. What these 100 or so risk indicators that are taken into account, what they are broken down and categorized into, are really 3 major categories of risk. And these are what we refer to as the 3 pillars of a BDO zone rating. So number 1, and most importantly, is the feedstock surplus and whether or not the community and surrounding region has at least 50,000 tons of excess underutilized biomass feedstock that is being produced in the region on an annual basis that could support and supply a new project. So for this rating, for your county in particular, we're looking at assessing the woody biomass in the region. We have looked at a variety of different feedstocks, anything from woody biomass to different agricultural residuals like corn stover, flax straw, wheat straw, canola. We've issued a couple of ratings in the state of Arkansas for poultry litter. We're working on one in a county in southeastern Oregon for cow manure. So it really just depends on the region and what the largest quantities are of in terms of the feedstock that is being generated and what you're looking to market and leverage. So woody biomass is a feedstock we're looking at and assessing for your county. Second is the supply chain strength. So are there the committed suppliers who can transport and supply the feedstock in the region? The foresters, the truckers, the haulers, those that can move and supply the feedstock to an incoming facility. And third is sound infrastructure. So physical infrastructure is looked at and assessed, things like access to roads, highways, rail, but social infrastructure is looked at as well. So workforce, labor costs are things that are taken into account when putting together the assessment. And if a region scores high enough in these three major categories of risk, then they'll receive an investment grade BDO zone rating. So this is just what the rating scale looks like. Investment grade ratings range from a AAA or the highest quality all the way down to a triple B, or what's considered to be a good quality rating. Anything that is less than a triple B is really just going to be considered more of a speculative grade because it will be indicating higher feedstock, supply chain, or infrastructure risk for that particular region that is being assessed. But ultimately, the reason here why BDO zone ratings are credible and why they're recognized by project developers around the world is because they're all based upon the national standards for biomass supply chain risk. These standards were developed by our company EcoStrat, Idaho National Labs, and a 65-member capital markets risk ratings and review committee that help provide feedback as to what developers, investors, and capital markets look for and care for in terms of risk when deciding where to site bio-based projects. These standards were funded by the U.S. Department of Energy. And ultimately, this is what makes BDO zone ratings credible, is that they're all based upon this standardized framework that's really recognized in the industry today. So I just have a couple more slides here, but this is just something I want to highlight and reference. When the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced their plan to enable the bioeconomy in America through building a resilient biomass supply. So within this plan that you're just seeing a snapshot of that was issued and published back in March of 2024, highlighted BDO zone ratings within the plan 4 different times as really an important tool that can help accelerate new market development within the bioeconomy and support different communities across the U.S. in terms of attracting new bio-based projects. So this will just give you a sense as to where on the map some communities are across the U.S. that have received a rating for their region. There's currently a little over 60 ratings that have been issued all across North America to date. There's right now over 30 biomanufacturing projects that are looking to develop in BDO zones. And these ratings have helped communities unlock and attract over $10 billion in new bio-based development. And $10 billion is currently being, private capital is being used to be raised in projects located in 6 different projects in BDO zones currently. So that is ultimately the success of the program. And what we at EcoStrat do then is we help you market and promote the rating to different developers in this space after the rating has actually been publicized. So there's a couple of different ways we'll do that. We'll start by doing a joint press release announcing that the rating has been officially publicized and issued. We will share it with what's called our BDO Zone Project Developer Network. This is a group of the world's largest companies that are looking at developing these kinds of projects that get sent and receive all of our ratings. We'll have a designated website page on our website where each rating can be viewed and downloaded for free. Some of the metrics that we're tracking from that is, on average, each rating is being downloaded over 850 times per rating from our website. So these are 850 new looks that these communities and regions are now getting that they weren't getting prior to this technical assessment, which is really the whole purpose behind what this project and what a BDO zone rating is meant to do and serve you as, is really an economic development tool. So this is just one of my last slides here, and then I'll wrap, but this will just give you a sense as to what a BDO zone rating actually looks like. This is just an example of a rating that we had issued a couple of years ago in Ballon, Weir, Texas. Bon Beer actually received the first AA rating for woody biomass. This rating was issued back in October of 2022. Just some screenshots on the right side of my screen are from the first few pages of the rating, but as you can see, these ratings are really meant to look and read and feel like a credit rating or a credit report, so that they're speaking the language of developers, investors, and capital markets that are ultimately looking at areas in terms of risk when deciding where new bio-based projects should be sited. And just the reason why I'm showing you this rating in Bon Weir and really why it's significant is that it's supporting USA Bioenergy with their second decision and $2 billion capital raise for an advanced biorefinery that's going to be located in Bon Weir. So this specific project, USA Bioenergy, is an American biofuel developer that's looking at setting up shop and converting the woody biomass that's available in the area there in Bon Weir, Texas, into renewable jet fuel. They're looking to raise about $2.8 billion in capital. This is being supported via Barclays Bank currently. And this project is expected to create about 1,000 construction jobs in the region over the 3-year period. Support about 200 permanent jobs at the facility, and also indirectly support about 1,000 forestry jobs in the region. So this is an example of a type of a bio-based project that can be attracted to a region through a BDO zone rating. USA Bioenergy also just recently secured their 20-year offtake agreement with Southwest Airlines, where they're looking at supplying about 680 million gallons of SAF for their future aviation flights. But this is just my last slide, and I'll wrap here. I'm happy to answer any questions. But this is what's called our BDO Zone Project Developer Network. So this is the list network of the world's largest companies that are actively developing biofuel, renewable chemical, biogas, product, different biomanufacturing plants who receive all of our ratings and are looking at BDO Zone ratings as a short list for where they should be considering citing their future projects, because these are areas that have been pre-assessed for everything that they really care about. So this is ultimately kind of the process and the project that we're working on right now, and the Rural Business Development Grant that we supported Craig with making the application on this past round is supporting the entire project, and we're expecting to have the first draft of the actual rating and report finalized and completed in June. So that'll be that 70 to 90 page report. And then once that is finalized, we can gear more towards the marketing and promotion and helping get this rating in front of different developers looking at citing these kinds of projects. But hopefully that just frames up, I guess, kind of the project at hand and what this is looking to do and how it's going to help support the county. But happy to answer any questions, provide further clarification if needed here.
So this is mainly wood fiber for this area you're talking?
Yes, correct. So it's essentially an assessment that is looking at determining how much project available woody biomass is being produced in the area that could support a new project, what is the quantity, and what is the price it's going to cost a developer to, what's the market price for a developer to acquire that feedstock stream for. And it's a report that's going to look at the supply chain in the area, and the infrastructure that's in place that could support a project. There's about 100 or so risk indicators that are kind of broken into those 3 different categories of risk that will be looked at and assessed, and we'll have a detailed rationale and explanation as to why this risk indicator was scored this way when we finish and finalize the rating here.
Can you discuss a little bit the 3 sites that you're comparing in the county?
We gave them,
So,
but we gave them 3 sites.
sorry.
Two of them are greenfield and brownfield, which means it's been developed, but both the Wellsville Business Park makes the most sense because they have about 100 acres. Besides, they have you've been through the facility. They've got quite a big facility. Plus they have access to water, sewer, and obviously low-cost electric.
Is that probably the preferred site?
Well, we've submitted that as 2 sites, so the
Two different
Greenfield
sites.
empty land
Oh.
that's at that site is one possible
So I think
development.
that's actually the best site.
Is it-
And then we did give them the Alliance site up in,
Intergrove, former
Intergrove.
Intergrove, greenhouse,
because of the fact that they potentially have for power generation.
power and water and all that, that's good, and space.
They needed a fairly large site.
And EcoStrat is working on basically the site bios that we provided them to determine which one will actually be the highest in our rating. So that would contribute to our rating at the highest level. So they're picking out the 3 based on their markers that they use to determine site readiness and all that, right?
Yeah, so I'm not actually the one that does the technical assessment or does the assessment for the feedstock, the supply chain, or the infrastructure, but our project team is working on that now, and then we'll get back to you guys shortly on a recommendation for what we believe site will score the best, because then for the rating itself, there's one site that we look at and score for part of the rating under the infrastructure side and the scoring, so we want to make sure that we're helping you identify it's just what site would score the best, and it's going to help you market the area in the best way possible. So we're just looking at that to identify what that one would be, and then we'll provide a recommendation for the infrastructure scoring. But the full technical report and the 70 to 90 page document that our team is currently working on will be finalized, we believe, in about June. So that's kind of an expected timeline for when we'll be able to share a draft for your review.
Do you have any other questions? Bill's the one that I've connected you with, Bill Manera, because he works at White Soil Wood Products. So do you have any specific questions, Bill?
Well, mainly, obviously, like the sawdust in the area is already going to pellet plants. So that would, you would either have to pay more than the pellet plants or the pellet plants are going to get it. And a lot of the Amish mills, which are a ton of them anymore,
Sure.
They have all kinds of slab wood that they just burn because they have no other market for it. So you'll be driving by an Amish mill and there'll be a massive fire out there and they just burn it. So they would be obviously looking for a market. If they had a way of selling it as opposed to burning it, they would certainly would be up for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's exactly because the rating is meant to help you showcase these assets that you have that could be utilized for new bio-based projects. A lot of on the other side of our business here at EcoStrat, we have an advisory group and advisory side, where we work directly with developers and investors within this space, and that's really the whole reason, really behind why the BDO Zone Initiative was first launched, is because we were getting feedback from developers saying they were spending time and money and resources into identifying where they should be siting these projects, and they find out, oh, the supply isn't there, or the supply chain isn't actually adequate to support my project, or the infrastructure, they might not have the site that I'm really looking for. So ultimately, this is a way for you to just be more proactive in terms of showcasing the assets you have and then getting them in front of different developers, so you can be considered on their short list when they're looking at different areas that might be producing a significant surplus of pulpwood, or have a lot of forestry residuals that are being underutilized, or sawmill residuals, things all like that. So that's ultimately what it's looking to do, is just help you market this asset like you're talking about that currently doesn't have an end use and it's just being burned essentially and doesn't have somewhere to go.
Right.
And I think, Ryan, although we're the first that will be rated in New York, I looked and I think that the closest is Vermont, which is like 480 miles away, right? The closest zone to us geographically.
Current zone.
Yeah, rated zone is about 480 miles away, so it's a pretty large footprint that we're covering here that doesn't have any BDO zone yet.
Yeah, out of the 60 odd ratings that have been issued to date, there's one in Vermont and Caledonia County. There's actually a couple in sort of north central Pennsylvania. We've issued 2 there, one in Cameron County and another in Wyoming County. So those are some nearby case studies that you can check out just to get a sense as to kind of what this looks like and will look like for your county region. So, but this will be the first in the state of New York, which will be very significant for sure.
You
mentioned 50,000 tons. What's that look like? How many truckloads? How big an area does it take to come up with that?
Yeah, so that's the minimum. Like a developer usually wants at least 50,000 tons in order to make a project worthwhile. That's the minimum supply that is needed. So when we're looking at the assessment, we are looking at the infrastructure and analysis and analyzing that within about 25 miles. Where we're looking at and assessing the supply of what's available, we're looking at about a 75-mile drive distance. So there will be hundreds of thousands of tons for sure that are going to be available that we'll identify within this report. I can quickly look at the ones we had issued in Cameron County and Wyoming County. I think those rated quantities were for a little over 1 million bone dry tons. But in terms of the I'm not exactly sure how many truckloads equals 50,000 tons, but I think it's very significant. So we're looking to kind of uncover and do the assessment to identify what is there that can support a project, and then look at the key suppliers in the region, look at the supply chain, the trucking, the logging, the forestry hauling companies that could support a project. And those will be identified and looked at and analyzed within the rating report that we put together.
It sounds like a lot, but 50,000 tons probably isn't as much in this area as amount of wood.
That's what
It's
it's not much
It's
of anything.
not as much, it's not out of the question, for sure, I'm sure.
So the minimum's easy for us.
I think so. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, and Ryan, you're projecting more like what's looking at in Pennsylvania, so hundreds of thousands to $1 million.
Yeah, like a nearby case study is Cameron County in Pennsylvania, which is just south of where you're located, and they had close to 500,000 bone dry tons, so they had over 10 times that minimum threshold. So that's what we'll be looking at uncovering. And within Cameron County, we looked at the pulpwood and the forest residue. So we're going to identify and understand what's the rated quantity for each of these different subcategories of woody biomass, and then what is how much are those, is it going to cost a developer to acquire each of those different subcategories, understanding that those prices can vary just depending on what the wood is, what the byproduct is.
You had mentioned about 60 projects looking for BDO zones. Are they looking for specific geography, or are they basically looking for metrics or some combination thereof?
Yeah, so the 60 BDO zone ratings that I talked about, those are the ones that have already been issued so far to date. Our project developer network is a list of about 300 different project development companies that are looking at setting up new bio-based projects and are looking at BDO zones. What they care about are these ratings are all based upon the standards for biomass supply chain risk. So our company EcoStrat developed these standards with Idaho National Labs and Capital Markets Risk Ratings and Review Committee to understand what these developers look for and care for. And what they look for and care for is whether or not there's a supply that can feed the project, if the supply chain is there and can support it, and if the infrastructure is there and is in place and be able to support their project. So in terms of these different developers, we have, out of those 300, there's a number of them that are our platinum project developer partners, and they have told us what geographic locations or areas or states they are interested in considering, what feedstocks they're looking at utilizing, what sort of price range they're looking at, and what their minimum threshold in terms of supply would be. So we have that information, and from our work on our advisory side as well, we work more directly with these developers. We will be able to play that matchmaking role and try to identify what companies or potential projects might be most interested in Allegheny County to help hopefully that kind of helps answer the question. But the rating isn't meant to dictate what type of a project you will or should attract, whether it's a biofuel facility, a biochar facility, a bioproduct facility. It's meant to highlight the assets that you have and do the assessment to look at and analyze the quantity of which is available, how much it's going to cost, and then get that information in front of developers looking at setting up these kinds of projects.
How many of these developers are already on motion building something?
Yeah, so out of those 60 BDO zone ratings that have been issued, there's right now 6 projects that are in the capital raise phase and moving forward. So theoretically, like 1 in every 10 BDO zones and BDO zone ratings gets a project announcement. This initiative is still fairly new, and the majority of the ratings that have been issued and published have been issued in the last, I would say, year to 2 years, and project development takes time. So there's a lot of these conversations that are currently kind of in progress and underway right now. It sometimes just takes a little while for a project to move forward with all the due diligence things you do on their end to have the assurance that the project can move forward and raise their capital to be able to site the project. But out of those 60 BDO zones that are all across North America today. There's 6 projects that are moving forward and in the capital raise stage.
Move forward, but not get built at all.
I don't think anything's being built yet, right?
No,
Nothing.
no, they're all, nothing, there's no like shovels in the ground and no projects that have been put in place, really because the first rating we had issued was a little over 3 years ago. And we're seeing these conversations really just happening now. And a lot of these are, like the project I talked about in Bonneville, Texas, they secured a 20-year offtake agreement with Southwest Airlines to supply 680 million gallons of the SAF that they're looking at utilizing. So these projects are moving forward. They're taking a little bit of time just in terms of coming into fruition.
I know it's probably difficult to tell, but what kind of, on the 6 proposed projects, what is the proposed employee outlook? The hiring outlook?
Yeah, so there's a recent report that was written by a University of Tennessee professor by the name of Burton English, and he looked at the economic impact and economic output of those 6 actually specific projects. So it depends on the type of project, but for like the Bonneville, Texas BDO zone and the USA Bioenergy Biofuel facility there, it's projected to create about 1,000 construction jobs for the 3-year construction period that they're looking at setting up, probably 200 permanent jobs at the facility. But then there's also indirect jobs within the forest industry, like the local loggers, truckers, haulers, forestry-based companies. There's projected to be about 1,000 jobs created or supported through that. So for that specific project, like throughout in terms of direct jobs and indirect jobs, I think that's about 1,300. That's a very large scale facility. But yeah, it depends on like a larger biofuel facility will need hundreds of jobs. A smaller biochar facility might only need 10 to 20. So it depends on the type of the project that's moving forward.
There sounds very exciting. Other questions people have? Sounds like we're going to learn a lot more in June. Is it possible to get a copy of the presentation just so we can have that as a reference?
I can send. We have some updated material. We have that overview slide deck I kind of presented there. We have a 2-pager. We have a document that talks about those 6 projects in BDO zones that are in the capital raise stage, and I can share that report that was written by the University of Tennessee professor that looked at the economic impact of those 6 projects. So I can just follow up with Craig probably, and then send you some of those materials and attachments, and then if you're able to just distribute that to the board, that'd be great, Craig.
Yeah, I'd be fine, Ryan.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, very, very good stuff. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time,
Thank you
Ryan.
all.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate the time. Any questions that you have about the project? I'll just put my email in the chat here. But it's ryan@ecostrat.com if you have any questions or want to consider or look into this a little bit further or see some other case studies or examples. But if you go on our website at bdozone.org, you can see all these ratings are publicly available, so you can view and download a couple of other different nearby examples to get a sense as to what this was going to look like for your county. But yeah, we'll be in touch, and we'll provide a bit of an update when we have something kind of worthwhile and meaningful to share once we have that first draft completed.
Sounds great.
Thanks, guys.
Again.
Appreciate
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay. It's like we are moving on to the presentation on the new building development.
Rick, did you learn something?
Yeah, that sounds exciting, actually. We've done a lot of biofuel development. We did the big ethanol plant in Orleans County. So I listened with keen interest. I want to, because Paul has to leave in 10 minutes, he's got another meeting. So I want to introduce you guys to Paul. Paul's going to be the architect working on this project. I'm going to be leading it, but Paul's going to be the person that's actually doing the drawing work. I don't draw anymore. I actually never really did. I'm an engineer by trade.
That's what Tom keeps telling us.
For those that don't know, Tom McElhaney was my first boss, and we worked together for 35 years. He recently retired, and I'm glad he's on this board. He's going to be a great member for you guys. Paul, do you want to just add a little bit of your resume, just so the rest of the group understands what your role is going to be, and then I'll you'll get off, and I'll talk about what the project is, what we're going to be doing on this project.
Great. Thank you, Rick, and thank you everybody for having me today. Yes, as Rick mentioned, I would be the PM, PA kind of on this project. I do have about just shy of 20 years experience in the field. Have been a project manager for about 10 years and have done projects as small as $1 million or as large as, I don't know, maybe 75 million, somewhere in that range, as well as was a PA for a portion of the 2012 Ralph Wilson Stadium renovations and whatnot. So happy to work with this crew. It seems like a really exciting project, so I'm very happy to be a part of it and excited to be a part of it. So I already thank Rick for including me in this, and I'd like to thank you all as well. Excited to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. So we submitted a grant with your grant subconsultants Delta to the ARC the Regional Commission.
Right.
Right. And I thought it was a pretty good submission. We used Alfred State students' designs for the project, and it was, I don't know if I can share my screen here.
Yeah, the unfortunate part, Rick, is New York State got no power grants last year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't us. We're going to resubmit that as well, so.
Next year.
We'll get,
Hopefully
I think we'll get it next year.
Should be able to. I think it's unlocked.
Well, while I'm technologically not so great, I'll see if I can't share. I can't figure out how to share it. The application was 600 pages long. We did we had done the Amity Travel Center site environmental review back I think it was 2022.
Correct.
And it did the analysis for a hotel and for fields and all that. This project is intended to go on to that site. And as part of the submission, we got some feedback from ARC that said you really weren't that far along. I tried to fake it that we were farther along than we were. What we really wanted to do, what I talked to Craig about, was forming this building committee and really reviewing the needs for the building, because we just took the Alfred State students' design, and it's a very nice design, but we're not sure if 5,000 square foot's the right square footage. We're not sure if the uses are the exact uses that are needed for that facility. So we really felt like if we set up a building committee and then reviewed and developed some concepts based on what you guys want to see, then we can then further refine the design, come up with a square footage, come up with a layout, come up with a design that that works for you. And then we can also more refine the concept, or the concept cost estimates. The cost estimate right now is just gross square footage times gross number to get a total. And we really want to refine that and make sure that we understand what the cost is going to be and what the size of the facility is going to be. And it may not seem like a lot of work, but there is a lot of work when it comes to coordinating how the utilities work, how the mechanical systems work, what the building's going to look like, what materials are we going to use. Also, mainly space programming. So really understanding how you're going to use the space and how each different use complements each other. And that's going to be an important part of this process. And that's really why I wanted to have this building committee set up before we really move forward. It can be and should be a relatively quick process, but we will need the building committee's time over the course of the next month to meet with them and really understand what your needs and desires are. And then we can develop some imagery that will help us with the application for other grants. Craig has asked me to look into other grant opportunities and Delta as well, I'm sure, but there's an Arts Council grant application process that they did generate a fairly significant amount of money for arts, and it relates to capital infrastructure. So there were, I forget how many counties ended up getting arts grants, but there was several. I think that's probably our next best opportunity to get capital money to be able to build this.
This project was gonna be more than just an office building. It
Well,
was gonna be,
It started out as we need an office space because we sold our building. So the office space, and then attached, and part of that, that's what the vision was make it a marketplace. And basically is to sell artist wares in the county as well as farm products and things like that. Has anybody been to Terramac down in West Virginia? It's not at that scale, but it's that kind of a vision where it's a place to stop and showcase what we have to sell in the county. That's why he's mentioning the art side.
okay. Is there more?
I'm sorry about, yeah.
No, yeah, we've talked about it, but the new board, so you know how that goes.
Is there more grant money available for the art side than there is for the
Yes,
office?
there's nothing for the
Yeah.
office, really.
No. Our money was going into the office space.
Yeah.
And then we're leveraging that to get the other money.
Do we have a deadline of when we have to be out of this building?
3 years. Well, it's 2 years and some months.
2 years and 10 months.
Don't know if we have to be out, or we'll have to.
But that's the
Yeah,
commitment.
our pay, right?
But
That's the
yeah.
commitment, yeah.
I think the county wants to have it. They want the space, not for any reason, they just want the space.
But that's why we'd like to get this part of the design done, so we know what, better feel of the cost, better feel of what the project looks like, and then figuring out how we can get it funded.
So that I understand this, so it sounds like.
There he goes, you got the picture.
There, I like that.
Sorry.
You did it, Rick.
I did think
The
of
same one. Shoo. I handed
Have
out.
a good one, everybody. I'm sorry for exiting early,
We look forward to working with you.
but I'll catch up with Rick later. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thanks.
day, everybody.
Yeah, the Alfred State students just did a vision of what it might look like.
So it's just the outside, they didn't do anything as far as vision.
It's really the inside was kind of like left open.
And so you've assembled, Craig, a building review committee who will
Right.
engage to be able to talk through
Right.
all of the elements, cost estimate, use
What
of
do we really need
space,
in the building?
Yeah.
timeline, okay. And then they'll report back to us, is that how you have
Correct.
arranged?
Okay.
And then, do they need anything, does that committee need anything from us as a full board, just to be able to start that work?
I would guess it won't be too long that we'll get a list of kind of things we might want in the building. I think, although the building review committee will be the point, it'd be nice to have that from the board perspective.
Right, well, that's what I was thinking, just to give them enough information about, what it is that we're seeking, so that they'll be able to engage in the right kind of way to get a summary back to us then. Okay.
So Craig, who's on the building committee, on the building committee? Is there
John
anybody who's on-
McGee, Tom McElhaney is on the name.
Right.
These are just some concepts, they were just
Yeah.
very preliminary, the interior.
Yeah.
All of them are, even the exterior too.
Well, that was not quite exactly what we had envisioned, but
Right.
that's how they translated it.
Right.
Yeah, they're very
That
preliminary.
was a start. They do good pictures,
But
don't
it,
they?
it gave us a good start to develop some of the concepts for the building committee to start reviewing.
Right.
So we'll come up with imagery that will look similar to this, but have a little different feel. And we'll give you some other thoughts on concept for you to react to. So it's your building, it's not ours. But we want to help guide your design thoughts. And so we'll come up with a couple different concepts, and then we'll tweak them from there based on your comments.
This wasn't the vision to have a visitor center in there too, a combo marketplace.
Yeah, it would be, yes, the visiting center would be more of a kiosk type thing
Right.
versus yeah. So basically, once you got off I-86, there's a place to go, find out about the county as well, yes.
Yeah, we envisioned a whole set of all the paperwork that's kind of put together, all the collateral, maybe even a digital kiosk. We talked about this in all of our meetings where people could interact online to say, where's the closest cafe? Where's the closest, this or that? So where can I ski? Things like that.
Yeah,
You are here.
The other thing about the building is that Craig and I had talked about, and I'm not sure if the building committee will agree with this, but we wanted to make sure that it was built so that it could be easily expandable. So we weren't just building a one-time only thing. If this is as successful as we think it could be, this could grow. And we want to make sure, that the layout that the students did, which was fine, it was just based on Craig saying, here, I want you to give me 5,000 square feet of space. And we're not sure that 5,000 square feet is the right answer. It could very well be. And we need to balance that with what the costs are going to be. I mean, everyone is aware that oil prices are high, and oil drives the construction industry. We've seen already just in the last month an increase in construction costs. So we want to make sure that we have good construction costs for you and for a grant application, because we don't want to submit a grant application for X and have it be X times 2. And that's no good for anybody. So we do want to spend the time now to make sure that we have a reasonably good, well thought out design, and then correspondingly a good cost estimate that goes along with it.
What percentages of increase have you seen already?
15%.
Yes.
Do we have a budgetary number in mind?
Well, the original ARC grant application was a $2 million ask, and we're gonna put $1 million, so we're talking $3 million. But that's probably not enough, but it was a good start.
And a general timeline for, what you're envisioning, the work of the committee to kind of complete what you had talked about, and then get that information back to the full board?
Yeah, I think that we'll, we're going to use the next month to really meet with the committee, develop the designs, and then sometime mid to late May, we'll be in a position to present to the whole board what we've come up with.
Okay. So by our next board meeting, when is our next?
Well, no, that would be,
Sorry, no, that I'm
well,
horrible
second-
chair already.
Second Thursday of May, probably at the June board meeting.
Probably June.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably will be June before we can present to the board.
Gotcha. More exciting stuff. Are there any other questions? For Rick there? Okay. learn more there as well.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
And
Thanks,
if
Rick.
anybody wants to read a very long, ARC application, I have to go.
I've read enough of those, please. No more.
Yeah, it's only 600 pages.
Rick did a great job of putting that together. That was very professionally done, so thank you, Rick.
That was a weird format, it was a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good job, thank you.
So, yeah, your name.
And thanks for the county that's supporting that.
Craig, do you want me to?
What?
That's-
Brooke wanted to,
Whenever it's convenient to the chair.
this is a good time.
All right. It sounds like a very convenient time, bro.
I just want to say my piece before you guys go on executive session, because I know what it feels like to be sitting in the hallway and not knowing how long you're going to be out there at purgatory. I just wanted to introduce myself to those of you. I think I've met everybody here except, I don't know if we've met before, but I'm Brooke and I chair the Allegheny County Legislative Board. Just wanted to thank you guys for stepping up. Those of you that are returning, thank you. And those of you that are new to the work, appreciate it, especially those that are taking leadership roles.
Thanks, Ray.
I was shocked. I really wanted to come to see how the leadership shook out. I was really curious, and I kept like Brian with John. And man, he's tough. He's tough not to crack. And he was on the nominating committee, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, so we appreciate that. I think John and Bill are going to do a great job representing the county's interests on this board. I know 99 times out of 100 we're pulling in the same direction. I do want to share with you, I would feel guilty if I didn't. Our board generally, and I think it's getting worse as we go, doesn't share the IDA's enthusiasm for renewable energy projects. We certainly recognize its value to the landowners and to the IDA, and it's necessary for you to be able to do all the other good work you do to have those projects. But our constituents in particular are really activated right now in opposition to renewable energy projects. So we have to be cognizant of that as a county board.
Just so you know, as we'll repeat many times, is this IDA board never goes into a community that hasn't asked us to come in.
We don't bring projects.
No, we don't bring projects, projects. We basically help. When a town wants a project, that's when we get involved.
Our issue that we see is that a lot of times a municipal board will be in favor of a project, but its constituents will not.
That's the problem.
So it's an issue that I think both of our boards are
Sure.
going to have to navigate in the coming years. But so I just don't want you to think anytime we're poo-pooing renewables down on the hill, it's not a reflection of the work you're doing. We understand it. It's a tough environment, literally.
No, it's gotten pretty bad.
These days. I also wanted to just let you know there's an almost near constant interest on our board in getting better and more consistent information on pilots. We understand their function, and I think we believe you do a good job in administrating those pilots. But there's just always seems to be a lot of questions that bubble up down in Belmont about the status of pilots.
I've been working really close, and Terry can tell you that, for the last 2 years. And we've got all of our pilots have been collected.
They're current.
And current for both last year and this. The only problem is that there are some pilots that we have nothing to do with.
Right, and that's something that, we want to kind of collaborate on as well, is how do we kind of get some of these ghost pilots, like,
Any
up to the
ideas, Terry?
surface.
Well, I got mine.
Terry, Terry's not a treasurer anymore, but we know Terry has the county's best interest.
Sure.
Like, as everybody else does. So we're looking forward to maybe even just more consistent updates on pilots. And, I know that you do everything that's required of you as far as notifications.
We do actually a lot more.
So the only other thing is, from a board perspective, we have an interest in ensuring that you guys continue that good communication. We've got so many moving parts in the economic development realm right now and so many different entities. We just want to make sure that communication, love to see Ashley here, communication, channels stay open, that we're not duplicating the work, that we're not competing for funding, all those things. Again, 99 times out of 100, I think all of these entities have the same goals in mind. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to this new board and the work you guys do. And again, from me, I promise you, I know how much work is involved with a board like this, so you have my respect and admiration for stepping up and doing it. And I gave, I think, my card to everybody that maybe didn't have it. My email and cell phone are on there, reach out anytime, and
He'll actually answer.
could be a week, could be a month.
Nobody does, he does a good job.
And Brooke, to your second point, John did come in today, and the first thing he did was come early and advocate for the legislature to get more information. So Craig and I'll put some things together for next week's meeting and give you some information also, where anytime you want, you can go and get current pilot information on our website
Yeah.
also. But we'll put something together
Right.
for next week, so you have it, and then we'll do it regularly.
Okay, great.
John's on board, on top of it.
Sorry to hijack the meeting, but
No, it's
it's
good.
good. No, absolutely, it's great. Of course, great to have you here.
I think you ought to stay for the policy part, though.
Yeah, I have a set for you, Brooke.
Well, just a couple of things. I mean, thank you for coming, first of all. You know, anybody who doesn't know Brooke or Ashley should know that they're wonderful to work with, always very communicative, have great ideas, and so, you know, I really see a great collaboration brewing here. Question I had just with respect to that, you know, how do our entities communicate with one another? Is this something where we have?
We have regular team. Go ahead. We have a team meeting, a regular meeting every 2 weeks.
And Craig and I meet monthly,
On top of that,
one-on-one.
and plus we co-host a lot of things together.
Okay.
And Craig comes to the planning and economic development committee meeting
Good.
once a month.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
And
Yeah, so-
has a good relationship with the administrator's office, so.
That's great. Well, yeah, let's make sure then, as we kind of think about, you know, all the great work and the coordination of efforts, that we also, you know, take a moment to maybe learn a little bit more internally about how it is that we do interface back and forth between the entities, and maybe we can do some assessment just to make sure we continue to optimize communication and make sure that, you know, we're all aligned and moving forward. Like you said, we're all after the same thing, which is success for Allegheny.
Yeah.
So, excellent. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Now the fun part of the meeting.
Are we back
Do
on
we want to let
back on
Ashley go
agenda?
first
Yeah,
before she has to
policy?
sit through that, or no?
Huh?
Want to let Ashley go first before she has to?
No,
sit through
we
it?
can go executive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I do have comments too about communication. I sit on the mega board for NICEAC, which is the Municipal Gas Alliance. And our last NICEAC meeting, they had a consortium, retreat kind of thing with the Climate Act Committee and I can't remember the name of the other one, but anyway, it was a group that came together and one of their major things was communication. Because the municipalities seem to be left out of communication when the project comes into their town, and Office of Renewable Energy is not notifying them until the project already started. And so I know municipalities suffer here from that as well. So that is one big thing that I think we need to work on is, definitely communication with the municipalities, because they get stuck with some of these pilots that aren't necessarily in their best interest, even though they're part of it.
Yeah.
They don't fully understand it, and, what happens when the system fails or, is decommissioned. So, I'm very interested in opening up those communication lines to better serve our people in the county, so.
Excellent. Yeah, doesn't it always come down to communication?
Yeah.
So maybe something for us to consider for the next agenda.
Thank you.
For our next agenda, just so we can all maybe learn more as a board, like who are the major groups that we work with, how do we communicate with them? Kind of allow us to kind of better understand, our fit, within the county and how it is that we interface, some of the major groups here that are also doing some really great work. Okay. Well, looks like we are going to discuss and approve policies.
We have a lot of them. Hopefully it wasn't too tedious to go through all of them, but those are basically the ABO who basically tells us how we have to run our business. There's a lot of policies, right, Ed?
Yes.
So we had to add some and revise some, and we've got quite a long list, and I guess.
And this is a once-a-year thing, pretty much.
Yeah, well, once we've gone through this the first time, it won't be nearly as tedious. Because one, all these will be on our website, and two, you can review them as we go.
Right, only changes in the future will be reviewed, and then once yearly, the only thing you'll have to do, and Ed pointed this out to me before the meeting, so I would like to claim responsibility for this. The bylaws are our governing document, we do not need to re-adopt them every year, they are considered sacrosanct. So those are, I was incorrect about that. So in the future, the only ones that we will have to re-adopt are the other 3 or 4 that are worded in your email at the beginning. So do you want to do that on the whistleblower?
Yep, I got the whistleblower
Okay.
here, the investment policy, and
We got policies for policy.
property disposition policy.
And the code of ethics too, right? That's the only other one.
Yeah, and code of ethics, which is the new or revised section of the policy.
Those 4 will only have to be re-adopted every year during our annual organization. Everything else should be as we go.
Okay. So I would suggest if we could put it on the motion to approve, and then we can discuss them and decide how we want to approve them. Does that make sense? So we can discuss them.
You're gonna do them as a whole?
I would think as a whole, yes.
All right.
Otherwise we'll be here for, we won't be here like the county, do everyone individually.
Can I get a motion then to approve the 4 policies that are in the?
I'll move that.
So moved. Any second?
I'll second.
All right.
I just need to adjust on the motion. It's like, wow.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry. Thought I heard
It's okay,
you say
this year
4
only.
that
4
we
will be
needed.
every other year. I apologize, Steve,
Yeah.
that's me.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, let me just
All of
restate.
the
Yeah.
policies on the table.
Yes, can I get a motion to approve all of the policies that are on the table for approval for today?
I'll move.
All right, we're back in business.
Who seconded? Bill.
Discussions, questions, input?
And yes, we have to have it, so.
Sounds like they're fairly straightforward, no major.
You don't want to
adjustments or
mention anything, I mean,
changes.
it really.
Yeah, so every year, the IDA has to file a tariff report and an annual report, and in the annual report, they've certified that they've had the board had a chance to review all, specifically, some of these particular, like the code of ethics, that they've reviewed them and they're aware of the responsibilities of board members. So that's an annual requirement that the IDA staff certifies to the ABO, Office of ABO, this board is aware of it, has re-adopted those policies, and they do that every year. Also, every year, we just go through to see what new additions have been added to the public authorities law, to see what other policies need to be added, which is why a couple of these new ones have been added. So just you're aware, it's always a moving target with the state or what new things they require. But so this will be an annual thing, happen at the annual meeting. And just so you know, spoiler alert, LDC will be doing the same thing. Because the LDC is brand new, these are all brand new policies for them, so.
And the CRC actually eventually will get,
And
and the
CRC will
point
also
is
get
to
that.
align the policies such that they're
As much as
all
they can.
in concert, yeah, that they don't require something different, than they're all the same across all the organizations.
And just every IDA struggles with this because the IDAs were formed first and they adopted the policies, and then public authorities law came into effect and kind of scrambled everything because they changed all the policy requirements. Then a lot of IDAs, because of changes in general municipal law, created these LDCs. They also created the CRCs to be able to do projects that the IDAs were unable to do, but that the community wanted to move forward with. And so they adopted separate policies every time those got created. And what we're trying to do now is have it so you have one policy. You'll have a policy for each organization, but there will be policies will be the same, so that you're not tripping over yourself. And the staff is not pulling their hair out trying to comply with all the different policies. So, yeah.
And if it helps y'all to go through them in a more easy manner, those first 4 they have not changed, they need to be re-adopted every
Can you
year.
go back through those minor now?
Yeah,
Can you read me?
that's okay, so
I went through
it's gonna be,
them
the bylaws you don't need to worry about, that's a governing document, it was last revised in 2018. And as far as we're concerned, Ed's reviewed it, Craig's reviewed it, it's sufficient to run the organization as is, so those don't be changed. That's a big deal. if you
I
change
did
it.
have a question on that about voting by Zoom.
That's the remote meetings law, so that's actually a
Right, It's
separate,
not part of the bylaws.
it's not.
No,
No,
it's a separate policy.
Yeah, it has to be by public authorities law, a
I
separate
just had a
policy.
question.
And that actually requires a public hearing and everything, Terry, so
Right, I did know.
But, so the whistleblower policy has not changed, it just needs to be readopted because it's federal law. Then the investment policy same, we have to approve it as is and make no changes, we have no changes suggested by either Hutch and Russ or Craig or anyone. Property disposition is the last one that needs to be accepted again each year as sufficient for the organization. Again, for their review, that was sufficient. So that brings us to the code of ethics. We had a code of ethics that's already in your board book that I gave you that was about a paragraph long. It was acceptable but not sufficient by ADO regulations. So what we did, literally this, is the ADO model code of ethics to be adopted by IDAs with the ACIDA's name put on it. That's what Ed and Craig decided made the most sense. I mean, it's literally the ADO's model. We did not change it. So that's the new model for what's a sufficient code of ethics. So that's that one. Procurement policy, sections 3 and 4 are new. Why? Section 3 is new because we did not have a contracting officer. Section 3 and 4, we needed a contracting officer and we needed a process by which we would investigate and identify any inappropriate activity during a procurement by a vendor. And that has to be part of your procurement policy by the public authorities law. So that section 3 is saying if any inappropriate conduct is found by a vendor, this is how we will deal with it. Section 4 is basically specifically naming the executive director as the contracting officer, which is a standard operating procedure. That make sense?
I have one question on that.
Yep.
If you could check into it, I thought the DPW limit had been raised.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
From
okay.
general municipal law, so if you just wanna check, I
Yep.
think it was 30, if not higher. But,
Okay.
I wasn't sure on that, if we had to follow that exactly.
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, so you mentioned that before me. So that, Terry's comment is that in section B1, that more than $20,000 for performance of any public works contracts has to be brought to the board. Terry thinks the limit's been changed to 30. So we'll review that. Mhm. And then compensation reimbursement and attendance policy is the policy that will be required as well. And I mean, if you read through it, it's very simple. Again, all the policies have been reviewed by Craig and Hodgson Russ. What's fiduciary duty, whether the board can be compensated, which you can't, obviously. Can be reimbursed for regular travel expenses related to the IDA and nothing else. It's basically just a governing document saying what's appropriate reimbursement and attendance for members. Conflicts of interest policy, you signed it, everyone has signed a certificate of no conflicts of interest every year, which was sort of serving that purpose, but we are meant to have a standalone conflicts of interest policy that aligns with that document. So that's exactly what this is. This is the document that governs your signature on those documents saying that you agree that there will be no conflicts of interest in your service to the board. Defense and indemnification is very simple and very clean. It's typically, I think, Ed, you told me there's a lot of times that's in our bylaws.
Correct.
And it was a lot easier to just make it standalone, which is acceptable, than to modify the bylaws. So that's what we did, just this one paragraph, because we do not have it in the bylaws. Project evaluative criteria, again, pretty standard across IDAs. How will we evaluate projects and whether they're valuable IDAs?
We do that for every project already.
Right, we just didn't have this rubric, right, like, it was used, but really not official, so now it's official, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And is this section here, where you list all the cost benefit analysis and the consideration, is that by priority or is that just random?
Say what you
It's
mean.
not a priority list.
Okay, all right.
Oh, you mean, is it like?
Because sometimes people read it as a
Okay.
priority
I
list.
see, that, no, just all equal
It's
votes.
just, okay.
Yeah. Real property acquisition, we haven't really needed this in the past, but we have had a disposition policy, but it's good for us to have an acquisition policy. Actually, we'll know more about that later in the board meeting too. So just the IDA has a very limited scope of being able to invest. One of the ways an IDA can use their money to invest is by acquiring and getting property shovel ready for development, something that John and other members have asked us about a lot. But we need to have a real acquisition policy.
Which we'll probably do through the LDC. We'll talk about that, why, but it's easier to dispose of property through the LDC.
Right, because of its structure and its 501c3 capabilities. So, but we already have, this is the same acquisition policy, right, Ed, that we have for the LDC. So we had one for the LDC because it was required, and now we've copied it for the IDA. Incentive and conditional compensation is exactly what it sounds like. We have to have this by public authorities law to say that we'll follow the rules, that you basically won't be incentivized to be on the board. And the last one, finally, policy prohibiting extension of credit. It's kind of along the same lines, things that we can't do for board members and that we're following those laws by public authorities law. Does that make sense? If anybody has any questions, Ed's here. To answer them.
One of the things I was surprised, I didn't see an anti-bribery or undue influence policy. Was that by design or was?
So it's kind of part of what's in the code of ethics and also the conflict of interest policy. So they both include discussions with regard to limiting conflicts of interest, which would fall under that type of concern.
So it's in there, but it's not called out separately.
Yeah.
Being a sales guy, you know about that.
Yeah, in the private sector, it's not a part of the public.
So if you see it
Actual
here, yeah.
policy.
Here, if you see it here, Joe, it's inherent in the section 2, financial conflicts and gifts and gratuities are prohibited. So that's
Well,
what you're talking
bribery
about.
is much more.
Much bigger than that,
Yeah, I get that.
Sure.
Do you want me to look into whether this is like a suggested policy
I'm
for
just
it?
bringing it up, it's something common, I mean, I see it in the business sector
Right.
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can, Craig and I can look into it.
Yeah, we can always call it out more specifically.
I like to write policies. You might think that's jokes, but it's actually not. I'm a nerd and I like to write policies. It's not sarcastic.
I had a couple questions about, just, once we adopt these, like the property disposition policy, said that there would be an inventory, is there something we get a copy of?
It's on our website.
Always.
Okay.
Publicly available on the website, it's called property, it's a property report. And it's updated always, so.
We don't have
it's-
much left. I can tell you
Right,
that.
and it was updated, so in December, when we sold 2 properties down the parking lot and these buildings to the county, and you'll see they're still on the list, and Mark just sold to the county with the date of the sale, 12/11. So we do keep it up to date every time there's a change, and it's current right now.
And they're required by law also to update the ABO. So if you go to the ABO website, there's also basically each IDA has a separate section and they have links to different reports and it includes property reports.
Right.
So there are really 2 locations they have to be kept at the IDA central location and then also at the state level.
And that's another thing we just had to report on in our annual CARES report to the ABO was the status of our property, any sales, which we did, property disposition or acquisition has to be reported every January to March by March 30th for the previous year.
Okay, and the other question I had was about investments. We talked about the list of depositories. I wondered if we had several banks that we list and what the limits were. I didn't see anything in that policy about that. So I didn't know if you guys, because I know by the county, we have to pass a resolution that lists what banks we can have business with and the limit that we can put the money in. So I didn't know if you had that, but it mentioned that in the,
I think that's correct. Do you guys want to do that?
We don't have that, no.
A list of depositories, we can do that.
We have that, you mean, you know where all the money is.
I think the policy, right,
For
I think
citizen
the
and
policy
community bank.
addressed that, so
Right,
I
it
didn't
does,
know
Okay.
if we should look at that if we're gonna pass a policy. If I wanted to.
So you said, a list. I'll look at the language too, Terry, but
Yeah,
list of
it's a list of
depositories and limits.
depositories and limits.
Okay.
Yeah, we never had that problem before with limits.
Right.
As you know.
Wait, what, $700 in the bank when you got
No,
here?
minus 150.
Oh, minus 150. I was being hopeful. Okay. Any other questions about any of these, Brian?
On the procurement, if we want to, so I double checked the law here on section 103 of the municipal law. It was increased. It is $35,000 for public works and $20,000 for purchase contracts.
So can we vote that into
Yeah,
vote
you can
today?
amend-
Okay, then I can make that change and make it permanent.
Sure.
Well, permanent and effective.
Permanent.
Updated until.
Permanent for 4/9/2026 until further revised.
The
So,
law
I'm
is
sorry, maybe to get it correctly, it's 35,000 for public works
35 for public works and 20,000 for purchase.
for any purchase contract. Okay, thank you.
Yep, and thank you for bringing
So
that
for
up.
anybody who's not sitting on that right now, it was the 20, it's going to 35, it was 10 for purchase, it's going to 20.
Great.
Thank you. That was quick, where's that?
And then Terry, did you have a question also about the remote voting?
I did, and
Yes,
that is a separate policy.
It is.
That's
separate
And it's in
policy.
your
Not
board book
part of
there.
this, okay.
Oh,
not
right,
part
it's
of
not.
The
Okay.
meeting I think if the meeting, you should check, if the meeting policy is not in your board books, I will absolutely provide you all copies of it, but it's not part of this adoption package.
Okay. Other questions, comments related to all the policies? So with respect to the list of depositories and limits, how would you like to proceed? Do we want to?
If we need to do that, we'll produce it,
Okay.
it's staff. I can
Well, the
get that
finance
organized.
committee will, I think that's one of the first things the finance committee will look at.
Okay. Yeah,
We
I guess
can
my
look
question
into-
is, do we
It
want to?
doesn't have to be part of the policy.
That's what I.
It's
Oh,
separate.
that's what
gotcha, thank
I
you.
think it's just separate.
Yep. I
Something
didn't
you
know
have
if
to
we wanted
publish
to
or
try
have
to
available.
amend it as part of the ultimate vote here.
I think it's
Okay.
just
I think Terry's saying it's already saying we're doing it. You guys are
Good.
doing it if you're.
Even better. Okay, so we don't have to change the policy then, related to that. Okay, so it sounds like the only change then that I've heard is related to, changing the
Purchase limits.
purchase limits. Okay, so then maybe I will amend, our, motion here to approve, the policies, as they are with the exception of the amendment of the procurement increase in the purchase limits. Can I get a motion for that? Okay, second? Okay, any discussion, questions or put on that?
Just one thing, just most of the time, the governance committee typically meets at least once a year, would review prior to the annual meeting, would review these policies and make any recommended changes or approvals to the board. And so when it comes to the board, usually you don't have to go through this whole, the whole board doesn't have to go through the whole process. It's basically a couple of board members and they just come with a recommendation of what to do and then the board usually stops.
So for future, you're saying anytime we have a policy update that we're proposing, it'll go to governance first and then to be recommended.
You don't have to, but that is
But that's
generally,
appropriate.
yeah.
That's the best correct way to do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Just because you're a larger board now too, because you have
Right.
more members. So if you're gonna be using the committee structure, that's just one of the things that they consider. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right.
You have no idea how happy that just made me.
You have
I'm
approved
so over it.
policies.
I'm so over it right now.
And she does actually like this.
I do, and I'm over it, so. Thanks, everyone. Good work.
Thank you. Looks like our next order of business is executive session. Do we need a motion to go into session? I imagine. Okay. Okay, I get a second. Okay, all those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are in. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed?
We're live again.
We are out of executive session. Looks like we have old business. Can you do your best to sum that up in 6-7 minutes?
Do you have anything to add? I have nothing to add at this point.
Okay.
No, EPA, unfortunately, I'd like to give you an update that the QAPP, which is the site-specific quality assurance plan, was approved. I checked with the EPA yesterday and today, and it's this close. So hopefully at the next board meeting, we'll have that approved, which is an important step to be able to run phase two through our grant. That's the end. But hopefully next.
I like to leave all these things on in case something pops up, but there's really nothing that we haven't already talked about with it.
And micro-enterprise counties is in the process of re-upping the grant because the funds were approved by Congress. That's the only update from the last meeting. Congress did release the funds. Allegheny County is applying for it through the Office of Community Renewals through New York State, and we'll have a much more significant update for you also, hopefully next session.
Right.
Yes. So that's it. That's all I have.
Can I ask one question about old business?
Sure.
Can we, it doesn't have to be today, but I've had people still ask me about the hydromax.
Oh. I can give you an update. It hasn't changed from last month, but the owner is working with SIO and with CPL, actually. We hooked him up with CPL, the people you got the presentation from today about our building. A couple of their engineers are helping him understand what is the option for his land and what's available for his sewer and water and what the cost is. And as soon as he has that study done, which is in process right now, he'll have a go forward plan, but until that's done, he has to sort how we can provide sewer and water to that plant because the county has confirmed that unfortunately it is underneath the house that was built post that company closing down. Yes, it's directly under the trailer. There's some things in the works, but he's working with CPL to make a plan and a cost analysis of what he has to do to get sewer and water in the plant. And as soon as we have that, there'll be an update. So hopefully, maybe next month, but that's not guaranteed.
Since I wasn't on the board then, can I get copies of their proposed plan and et cetera? Because I wasn't on the board.
And I just want to let you know, anytime you have any of those questions, you can always ask us, but all of our project information is mandated to be online, so you can just go to projects and go to this year and pull all that up, the application, everything. But anytime, I'm not pushing you off, Terry. I can actually get you anything, but if you were like sitting around and having an hour to kill and wanted to see what was going on, you can go in and pull that project information anytime. But if you want to stop in my office afterwards,
Yeah,
I can give you
be able to today, but
Okay.
I'll get
Okay.
that. Okay. So he's really working on sewer.
water and sewer is a
Water.
prime concern right now, because if he can't provide those for the plant, it can't go forward. So, yep. But his goal is to solve the problem,
Okay,
really.
thank you.
Yeah, I did talk to him actually Monday.
Any other questions about the old business? Old items? Right, any new business? Anything for the good of the order? All right, then, I was waiting like 2 hours for this. Can I get a motion to adjourn? A second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Yeah, right. Yeah, I have to find it.
Very
Find a
official.
different one. What's that? We have, oh, okay. That's great.
We're not gonna play musical chairs.
You use the gavel if you want.
Yeah, it's scavels within reach, so.
Right.
All right, so we'll bring the meeting to order, and the first thing on the agenda is the election of officers. And I fear that we would elect the same officers as we did for the Housing Development Agency. So.
I'd like to make a motion that we elect the same slate of officers that we just did.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion for the same set, election of officers that we have for the Allegheny County Development Agency. Is there any discussion, questions on that?
Steve wants to know if he can keep the gavel for a few.
That's right. If not, could I have a vote or, vote everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. You're on again. All right.
Let's see. Looks like we are approving minutes then. All right, a second. Any discussion, comments, questions? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we don't have any for executive session for this
Okay.
meeting. We can skip it.
All right.
Just to approve the treasurer's report and literally be done
Yes.
today.
Sounds great. All right. Treasurer's report. Does anybody have a summary there?
It's 2 checks.
All right, very limited.
All right.
Very intense.
We have 2 checks in our treasurer's report. Can I then get a motion to approve the treasurer's report as is?
I'll move.
Any seconds? All right, any discussion around our 2 checks? Can I, and all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? Okay. Treasurer's report passes. Anything else on the
We've got some
old
treasurer's
business,
report.
new business
That's all it
related
was.
to the LDC?
That's really all there is. We just have to have a,
I am,
otherwise you can't pay the bills.
I'm getting brought up to speed.
Yeah.
I'm following it. All right, can I then, for our LDC meeting, can I get a motion to adjourn? All right, a second? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Yeah.
We got one more?
One more.
One
ACUC.
So fun.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I'll take this off, offline.
The ACUC isn't a public meeting, just so you all know that. I know everybody knows that being for
All right.
because